today's video,
I am just as exhausted as I look. I work full time and I have 2 kids. The jump from 1 to 2 was already a lot. Survived. My daughter is 18 months. My oldest is 7. And, I thought we were entering like this golden phase where I was going to be able to sleep. Well, my oldest is now waking up multiple times a night because she's afraid of strangers, which is fine. I want to be there to help her, but it's not any less frustrating. But it's exhausting. Like, race in the morning, and then no time to chill, and then straight into work, and then straight into kids. And I feel like so many people make it look so easy, and it's not. I don't know how, am I just weak, or it's everything just a highlight reel of the good times, because our house is a shit show 80% of the time. Someone's screaming, someone's crying, someone's hitting someone. And I know it's just a season, but it's a hard fucking season. And I think social media gives us this false perception of, what reality really is. And it's hard because you just feel like you have to live up to all these unrealistic expectations. I can't be alone. I'm just exhausted.
motherhood is beautiful, but let's be real, it is exhausting. I feel like a lot of women were lied to about what motherhood feels like. No one really tells you just how emotional draining it is until you are done changing multiple diapers in a day, suiting tantrums that you do not know the cause of it, ensuring school runs doesn't flop, and wondering the last time you took a nap. You wake up feeling tired, you go to bed exhausted because you spent all day being a chef, a doctor, a therapist, a caregiver, a gist partner, a human library, and somehow still expected to have it all together. This minute you feel like your child is the sweetest little cutie ever because she just gave you a hug and told you are the best mom ever. Then the next minute, she's screaming because you won't let her talk to her crush from school. And you are just standing there like, how did I get it all wrong? All of this motherhood exhaustion leads us to the big question. Is motherhood really worth it? A lot of people have dropped their opinion on motherhood. Let's take a look, and at the end of the reaction videos, I'll drop my opinion. Now, if this is your first time tuning in, my name is Vicadi. Thank you for tuning in. Please hit the subscribe button. I'd love to see you again.
I think if you're asking if kids are worth it, then you're not ready for parenthood. I know that sounds harsh, but you're just not. Parenthood is not about what you get. It's all about what you give. First, no one can tell you what parenthood is going to be like. You want to know why? Because every person's parenthood is completely different. When you sign up to become a parent, you sign up for one of the wildest rides of your life that you have zero control over, zero preview of, and no one can tell you what's going to happen. You could have a genius that changes your life forever. You could have a kid with mental or health challenges that needs you to completely remodify your life. You could have an athlete that makes you spend every weekend on a soccer field that you hate. Or you could have a theater student that has you attending shows left, right, and center. But through all that, you're going to have to figure it out. Now, I'm not saying that parenthood is without joy. Please. There is joy in the giving. And I will tell you that kids for me are the biggest catalyst towards growth. They will test your marriage. They will test what you think about yourself. They will have, especially if you want to be a good parent, they will have you healing parts of yourself you never even thought of. They will bring you the highest joys and the hardest lows. And every stage will be different, Also, I will say, as a woman, no matter what you do, no matter how great your husband is, no matter what, you will bear a lot of the physical burden of having children just because you're the one birthing them. It's a reality, a biological reality. It will also test your marriage and either make your marriage grow or really break it down. Kids don't heal a marriage, they really reveal it. And you will never ever be the person that you are today again. Never. There's no going back. No matter what happens with that kid. So don't ask if kids are worth it. Ask if you're willing to go on a ride where nothing's predictable. There are going to be great moments and bad moments. And if you're up to giving that much of yourself.
I know it's just a season, but it's a hard.
When I tell you, I have not resonated with a video more than I have with this one. And this is the reason why I went from someone who absolutely wanted to be a mother to someone who has chosen to be child-free by choice. I was someone who, from a young age, absolutely wanted to be a mother. I love kids. I've always loved kids. I think they bring so much joy into the world. And I was someone who was like, this is a deal breaker. If I meet someone that does not want to be a dad, game over. I absolutely wanted to be a mother. And then I got older and I started to really realize the big picture of what it actually takes to raise a child, let alone multiple human beings. I think motherhood is a really amazing experience for the women who want that. But when you get older and you start to really realize the big picture and you see a lot of things, especially I live in New York City, I realized what it would look like, especially if I wanted to stay in New York City and wanted to raise a child. I refused to be the parent carrying a stroller up the stairs, like on the train. And that would most likely be my life because I don't really want to move outside of the city. I like where I live, whatnot, but that's besides the point. And I kind of came to this conclusion in the middle of dating my fiance. And when I brought it up to him, luckily we were kind of on the same page because this was around the time that Roe v. Wade was overturned. And we started to really think about what would our life look like if we had children. And I'm so grateful and so thankful that we are on the same page and he supports this decision. And he's like, honey, yes. Yes. So we are fully on the same page of team child-free by choice. And we also want to be the village for our friends who choose to have kids. We want to be the fun aunt and uncle. Do you need a break from your kids? I will absolutely babysit for you. I love kids. Let me be that person for you. But I so believe we are sold this fantasy of how amazing motherhood is. And it's a lot of work. And I realized it's a lot of work that I don't want to do. And I know that sounds kind of harsh, but I really realized that I want to be selfish and I want to just worry about me and my fiance and our family and not have to worry about another living, breathing human being besides our cats. They're not human beings, but they're other living beings. And if I want to just pick up and go to the store right now, I don't have to worry about any of that. If I had a child, I can't just do that. I have to, especially if it's a newborn, I have to bring the newborn with me. I have to bring the baby. I have to do this. I have to get a babysitter. I have to do all this. It's so many details that we don't think about that when you really see the big picture, you get to really think, is this a sacrifice I'm willing to make for the rest of my life? And if it's not, you should not be having kids. And I realized for me, it's not a sacrifice I want to make for the rest of my life. And I love kids. And I just realized I want to be selfish and I do not think motherhood is for me. I also realized I have zero desire to put my body through a pregnancy. Like thinking about that also made me realize like I have zero desire to put my body through a pregnancy, let alone multiple pregnancies if I wanted to have more than one child. And I know there's adoption and things like that, but that was also a huge factor. And then the fact that people cannot afford to put groceries on the table. I feel very fortunate that my fiance and I, we are still able to live in New York City. We're able to live and do things, and that's really great. But if we had kids, at least one kid, we would be such broke parents, and I refuse to be a broke parent struggling. I also waitress in the city, and it's made me realize, seeing families out, especially with lots of kids, that I have zero desire to do that. And mothers and fathers are so amazing and more power to all of you, but I realize that is not something that I am willing to do and I'm not willing to give up my freedom to do. And you have to really take a hard look about if you want to give up your personal freedom to now worry about another human being, if not more than one. And at the end of the day, I would rather move through the rest of my entire life regretting not having a child rather than regretting having a child. Because once the child is here, you cannot get rid of it. And I refuse to put a child through a traumatic experience. If I chose to have a child and then realized motherhood is not for me, I'm not going to traumatize a child like that. That's not fair to them. And then I don't want to be a resentful parent. It's not okay. I'm glad these conversations are happening. And I think more people need to really think about what it entails when you choose to have a child.
I know it's just a season, but it's a hard.
Motherhood is a scam. Motherhood is the biggest scam, like one of the biggest scams like of history. Now, let me get into this because, I mean, in the past, yeah, in like our mothers, our like grandmothers era, they didn't really have a career choice. Like they didn't really have a choice. So like they were forced into motherhood. So first of all, like that was a scam. And like nowadays, it's kind of a scam because motherhood was just like so expected of women, and like nobody really told women, and like nobody really gave like little girls a proper education of what can actually happen when you become a mother, when you become pregnant, and you know, basically when you decide to participate in like this reproductive thing. The government would push, and by the way, this is not just about the Korean government, but the society and like the government would expect you to become a mother and just push out babies, but there is no proper education on motherhood and pregnancies for women. Like nobody tells you at schools, or like, you know, the society doesn't really tell you as a woman what will happen to you psychologically and medically when you decide to become pregnant, or well, you don't really decide to become pregnant sometimes, but that's another story. And nobody really tells you what will happen to you psychologically and what will happen to your body. Like nobody told me until like I found it on the internet that they literally just cut your perineum I think open and then just like stitch you up when you have a natural birth. And nobody also told me that you will basically be on your period for like a whole entire month after you give birth, because your uterus has to cleanse out like all this stuff that was in there because of the pregnancy. Like these are the things that the society doesn't tell you, but simultaneously they want you to have babies without telling you about it. So if this is not a scam, I don't know what is, because to me this concept sounds very, very scammy. Like it's giving like false advertisements with very, very fine prints that they don't tell you to read about. You know what I'm saying? It's very much giving like a scamish contract with a little teeny tiny clause saying, by the way, like this is like all the bad things that can happen to you. So like maybe start on that. Maybe start on like better educating and like how to, deal with those things better, prepare a better government like infrastructure around that, like instead of just, oh my gosh, please have more babies because we need more workers in the future so our economy would not collapse. Like sometimes things just feel so dystopian for a woman, and literally
I know it's just a season, but it's a hard season.
After motherhood, so many of us lose who we are. Like if you don't really have a sense of who you are as a person outside of being somebody's mother and wife and cleanup person and, helpmate and maid and cook and all of that, if your whole identity is wrapped in your identity of motherhood and being a partner, then you really start to lose yourself in that. So the problem isn't so much that you just have a lot to do. The problem is there's a loss of identity and you don't really know who you are anymore. And so you start filling that void with things and stuff and action items and to-do lists instead of sitting still to kind of figure out who you are and whose you are outside of your traditional role that you're playing as a mom and a spouse.
Let's continue this conversation in the comments. Do you think motherhood is worth it? What are your joys and fears of motherhood? Drop your thoughts, your advice, experiences in the comment section. Let's inspire one another. I'd love to hear from you. Please air your opinion respectfully. All opinions are welcome, but please respect others' perspective. In this community, we have great conversations and healthy vibes. So bring the game on. Let's have banking conversations in the comments. So here's my opinion. Nobody really prepares you for the emotional exhaustion motherhood causes. The constant giving, the mental load of keeping track of everything, the mom guilt that's sneaking. Even though you only took 5 minutes break alone, it feels like when you dedicate all your time to your kids, people say, don't lose yourself. And then when you want to take some time off for yourself, people say, but where would you keep your children? Like, who is going to take care of your kids? If you give them too much screen time, you feel like you are ruining their brain. No matter what you do, somehow, sometimes, even you is judging. But here's the thing, you were a whole person before you had kids, right? And so you still deserve to exist as you, not just as someone's mom. You don't have to feel guilty for needing space. You don't have to feel guilty for wanting time for yourself. You don't have to feel guilty for missing the freedom you once had. It doesn't make you a bad mother, it makes you human. And if you don't have kids yet, don't let the world rush you, my dear sister. Motherhood is beautiful, but it is not the only way to find fulfillment. Some women thrive in motherhood, some women thrive in careers, others thrive in travel and adventurous life. And guess what? Whichever life you choose is your life. They are all valid. So, whether you've been shooting tantrums over what you know nothing about, or if you also choose to enjoy the luxury of waking up whenever you want, the key is balance. Take breaks without guilt. Say no without explanations. It's okay to ask for help without shame, because the best version of you, that is the happiest version of you, isn't just good for you. It's good for everyone around you. That's it, beautiful people. Thank you for tuning in. It's your girl Vicadi. This channel isn't just about posting videos. It is a growing community where you matter. So by subscribing, you're not just clicking a button, you're joining a space where your thoughts matter. So hit the subscribe button now. If you enjoyed watching this video, give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friend and family whom you'd like to be part of the conversation. Thank you for tuning in, guys. I'll see you again tomorrow with another exciting one.